The latest movie from M. Night Shyamalan, Split, is a suspense thriller, meant to convey a psycho-like premise involving split personalities, but fails in believability. While the acting was very good, I just thought the overall plot was kind of silly and the payoff at the end lacking, like several of his other movies. While it is interesting that this movie delves into the psychological behavior and causes of people with split personalities, it also throws in child abuse into the development of several characters. I also found it somewhat troubling to exploit this so-called multiple personality syndrome with the plot of a teen slasher movie from the 1980s. Can you imagine the public response if someone with Down syndrome was the sidekick of the antagonist in this movie? Hollywood has to be very careful how psychological conditions are portrayed in movies, as psychology is more understood now. A similar famous book and TV movie about a person with this psychiatric condition, called Sybil, which later had its dubious clinical diagnosis challenged, calls into question using the subject material at all. Luckily, the questions surrounding the diagnosis of DID are somewhat highlighted in this movie. The plot itself goes in some directions that seem comic book-like. One scene involving a firearm in this movie has a ridiculous outcome. However, given the overall message that is produced in this movie, women should be encouraged to join the National Rifle Association, NRA. Is this movie worth your time and is it entertaining? As a suspense movie, it might work on some level for some people, but I dislike movies that rely on dialogue for content. Adding teen girls to the plot seems kind of cheesy. Furthermore, the drawn-out nature of the psychological material does not seem to make it worthwhile. If you want to see a better split type of movie, may I suggest Brian De Palma's 1980s Dressed to Kill? An older movie, but much better than this movie. I get that the director was going for a vibe such as in Alfred Hitchcock's famous Psycho movie, but that was not there for me here in this movie. Or if you want to skip the horror aspect, check out Sybil TV miniseries from 1976 starring Joanne Woodward and Sally Fields based on the book and somewhat dubious psychological diagnosis. Spoiler alert! For fans of the director, believe it or not, this movie has a surprise at the end linking this film to one of his other films. However, I did not think it was worth sitting through the movie for such a flimsy ending. The end.